Out of the rainforest and into the fire, am I right? That's how that saying goes, right? Hello, Winternet! Welcome to Tales Showcase, where a hero's a hero, no matter how small. Or retired to the Amazon. I'm your host, the Watcher of New Earth. Today we're looking at an often overlooked member of the Justice League, who's... let's face it, he's nobody's favorite, but we all kinda like him.
Written by Roger Stern with art by Dwayne Turner, this was the start of a new ongoing series for the Atom, after he had been absent from the limelight for a couple of years.
So what's Palmer been up to all this time? You wouldn't believe me if I told you. So let's figure it out all together. This is Power of the Atom #1.
The story opens with Ray Palmer exploding out of a telephone.
Basically what we all wish we could do when we get that fateful late night text. You know the one. Oh yeah.
Palmer has arrived in the home of his old friend Norm Brawler. He falls unconscious as Norm helps him, only to find that he's too heavy to move. Hours later, Ray wakes up disoriented. Norm attempts to calm him, but Ray is perplexed as to why he can't feel his invisible costume and why he's only managed to grow to 3 feet tall. He grabs Norm violently, asking what's going on.
I've always said that the best house guests are the ones that arrive without notice, sleep for hours, and then threaten you with bodily harm.
He quickly calms down and begins to recount to Norm how he arrived. He begins with the Catarthans, a race of 6-inch tall people who he had been living with in the Amazon.
A tiny micro-world in the middle of the Amazon? Rick and Morty did it.
In the city of New Morlaid, who cares? Ray had crafted a new life for himself. In love with the Princess Laithwin and working with his friend, Voss, Ray became the leading scientific mind of the people. He even discovered a piece of matter from a dwarf star left over from the original settlement generations ago. It was not unsimilar to the original matter that he had used as the source of his powers, which he no longer had. Through his studies, he not only discovered that he could manipulate it with his mind, he could also theoretically use it to revert the Catarthans to their original size, which would be more in line with humans. However, seeing as they are not nearly as advanced as the rest of the world, he holds off, choosing to decide on what to do later.
Oh no, of course, you decide. Because I'm sure no one else has an opinion on the fate of their people.
Days later, however, a man stumbles out of the forest. Where is he? Where's Atom?
Sir, your Uber Eats is here.
The man falls as Ray reaches him. He recognizes him as Don Bryce, a former CIA contact for him. He tells Atom that they have to leave, just as he dies. Ray tells Voss to evacuate the city as he mounts a bird, still unsure of how Bryce found him.
Yes, convenient. A cynic might even say, too convenient.
Ray finds a trail of the forest that's been completely cleared. He follows it, reaching the camp of the perpetrators. It seems as though they're making their way to clear room for more farmland. Ray tries to explain that if they continue their plan of expansion, they will endanger several hundred people that are merely trying to live their lives.
There's a metaphor in there somewhere. I just can't seem to parse it out.
Unfortunately, even if the men were willing to listen, they only speak Portuguese. This leads to a scuffle, with the men all doing their best to stop Ray, who, despite having been retired for a while and not having his full power set, is easily holding his own. He manages to get outside and is beginning to dismantle the machine the men are using. However, one guy spots him and begins shooting, hitting the machine and setting off a giant explosion.
Yeah, that machine that we're using to burn down the rainforest. I'm just gonna haphazardly shoot at it. What's the worst that could happen?
Ray wakes up a while later, witnessing all the wreckage. He walks back to the city, finding a piece of his sword on the way that had been damaged in battle. When he arrives at the discounted city of Kandor, he finds it destroyed with no signs of life anywhere. The only thing he finds is the White Dwarf matter. Seeing no point in staying, he decides to take the White Dwarf matter and leave. He tells Brawler that he spent the next few days on a raft, delusional, occasionally sleeping, and catching and eating something, although he doesn't really remember what it was.
That's cool, bud. probably go get yourself checked out.
He eventually reaches a small town where he finds the men from the forest and, overcome with rage, springs to attack. In the midst of battle, he realizes his powers have returned. After a bit of slapping them around, he begins to search for an exit. Not finding one, he calls Norm and shrinks down through the phone, leading us back to the start of the story. Ray says this doesn't typically happen when he does that, saying that it's probably because it wasn't a landline. Not only can he not change size, but he's also lost his costume, which usually becomes invisible when he's big, and the White Dwarf matter. It's at this point that Ray realizes that he's in his old house. Norm explains that after he left the house to his ex, Jean Loring, she decided to move and sold him the house. This, for some reason, greatly upsets Ray.
Wait, so you're okay to abandon your life and go live in the Amazon with a 6-inch tall princess, but your ex-wife sells your old house just to get on with her life, and that's drawing a line to you? What? And why are you angry that she sold it to a friend of yours? I would love it if I could trust my house with a friend. If I had a house, or a friend, or trust.
Norm, seeing that Ray isn't feeling so good, calls him a doctor. Meanwhile, it's shown his phones are being tapped and the house is under surveillance. In the house, Ray finds a trunk of his old things, including a book Norm wrote, with the help of Ray and Jean, chronicling the Addams' adventures before he retired. Ray, reflecting on all that's happened to him, lashes out, punching a fireplace and utterly destroying it. And the comic ends with both Norm and Ray saying they didn't know he could do that.
Yeah, truly we're finding out a lot about what you can and can't do. I just hope that you can pay Norm back, because, my god, the property damage that you're causing to his house. Oh, I'm sorry, your house. Anyway, that was Power of the Atom number 1. It's good.
Although this does kind of feel like it's hitting the reset button on the Atom character, it is kind of a soft reboot for the character, and it does a pretty good job to its credit, setting up a new status quo and new plot threads that will continue to be expanded upon throughout the series.
If you're a big fan of the Atom, which, to be fair, probably not, but still, it's good, check it out. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. This is the Watcher of New Earth, signing off. Hi, I'm the Watcher of New Earth. If you like that video, hit that subscribe button, maybe even the bell icon. It probably does something, right? I mean, YouTube hired someone to put it there, so the least we could do is show appreciation by hitting it.